welcome to a special episode of the Platform Special, in that it is a long one. The incredible story of musician Steve Balbi, of course from Noiseworks. They had quite a few hits. They're one of Australia's best bands, especially live. I'm sure anyone that's seen them can attest to that. So many great songs. But of course, John Stevens was the lead singer. So Steve did a great job on the bass, but he's an incredible talent himself. Yeah, so there you go. It's unbelievable how talented he actually is. And we met up in Sydney a few years ago and had a chat one night at a cafe. And since I heard some of his stories, I've been wanting to get him on the platform. Just epic. So here he is, Steve Balbi on the platform. It's good to have you on the show, Steve, mate. I love doing a show about stories, and you and I have met over the years, and you've got a pretty epic story. I'd love to ask where it all began with music for you.
Well, you know, like most kids, just began in my head. You know, as far back as I can remember, you know, I got someone walking through there.
Okay.
As far back as I can remember, I sort of always had music in my brain, and I remember, you know, watching the Beatles cartoons, following the bouncing ball, and thinking, you know, that's what I want to do.
So what was school like for you? Because I understand you left pretty early, and that was a pretty interesting sort of side journey for you.
Oh, mate, being at school for me was like being in a silent film, you know, with just me, a whole bunch of other kids. The score was being played in my brain, in my mind, and I just kind of felt invisible there, you know. Yeah, and, you know, got to the point where, you know, got through primary and got into high school, and I was playing a lot of music, and I was playing in bands. And I remember the principal calling my old man to school. It was at the end of the first term in year 10, and saying that I had to stop music because I was totally distracted. If I stopped music, I could finish year 10. If not, I wasn't welcome back to the school. And I sat there, me, the old man, and the principal. It seemed like for an eternity, and the old man's just gone, looks like he's not coming back. And we walked out of the school that day. I left my bag, pencils, everything.
Mate.
Then I soon got a call from Kevin Borich, you know, being at home, and phone ringing in the kitchen, and Mum go, "Hey, Steve, it's Kevin Borich on the phone." I thought, "Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. Wasn't he the guy in the pink suit that just played with Santana at the Sydney Sports Ground?" And I got on the phone, and he asked me to go on the road. So I've gone, "Oh, hang on, Mum, Kevin Borich wants me." Said, "Can I go on the road?" And she's gone, "What's the road?" And so I was about 16 and a half then, and off I went into the wild.
What's that like, being a 16-year-old and being on the road with, like, I mean, Kevin Borich at the time was a legend, so all of a sudden you're on stage with great musos and you're 16. That's incredible.
Oh yeah, man. Is this a family show? Because the story behind that is pretty...
I want the real story.
Yeah, okay. It's pretty gruesome. There I was. At the time, at the time I was in a band called Rupert B, and we were doing the final run with me in the band was at Tweed Heads Hotel, and we had a residency there for a couple of weeks. And because it was a bad vibe, me leaving the band, I went to stay at a friend's place, and he was the sound guy for a band called DV8. It was a three-piece blues band. And I don't know how it happened, man, but, you know, there I was on my very first aeroplane trip. We were heading to New Zealand for my very first gig with Kevin Borich, which was a 10,000-seater with DD Smash and a bunch of other bands. And I'm on the plane. I'm listening to the stuff diligently, learning this material, and I've given the headphones to Kevin, and I said, "What's going on with this song?" Kev's gone, "Who is it?" Mate, I shat myself. It was like, I just learnt DV8's full set, right? And it's only a bunch of hours. It's only a bunch of hours till we're at this stadium doing this show. And of course, Borich being here, man, you know, just... We've turned up in New Zealand, and instead of going to the hotel, finding a guitar and running through some stuff, we go straight to Paul Hewson's house, keyboard player from Dragon. Within an hour and a half of being in New Zealand, I had a needle of heroin in my arm.
Oh my God.
I've never vomited so furiously before in my life. So my first gig a few hours later was played in front of 10,000 people. A lot of it was peddling A's, leaning on my Ampeg, vomiting. And that was my introduction to the world of rock and roll. And after the show, Kev's gone, "Oh, you did great, man. Here you go, have a whiskey." And, yeah,
You were like
that's the truth.
So
that's
like,
the story.
Are you 17 at that time?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, you got so many incredible stories, and of course we know, I mean, I've told you before, you know, I grew up a huge Noiseworks fan, and how did that story come to be? How did that band form, and how did you be a part of that?
Well, that was an interesting thing in itself. I had been with Kevin for a bunch of years, and you know, we were travelling around a lot. I don't think I emptied my suitcase for, you know, 3 years or so, and I really loved that experience, but I was a songwriter. I wanted to be a songwriter, and I was always writing songs, but my material really wasn't Borich material, so I thought I need to expand. So, you know, got the Sydney Morning Herald, and I looked up, I found an ad saying songwriter wants songwriter to work with. I have recording gear and everything. So I've gone, sounds good. So I've answered this ad. I'm walking down the street, and at the other end of the street, walking towards me, is this tall, lanky kid. We both basically stopped at this gate at the number of this house. That was Justin Stanley from Noiseworks. But are you going in here? So we basically walked in together, and we sort of did a bit of writing with this guy for about a week or so, and it wasn't much chop, but Justin and I stayed together, and we started a band. We started writing songs for a new band, and at that point in time, Stuart Fraser saw me playing with Kevin Borich, and he had a band with John, Kevin, and himself, and they were doing a recording, and they wanted a bass player to play, and I went. They asked me to do it. I did it. They loved it. And then they kept asking me to join the band for about a year. You know, they kept coming around to my house, and I go, "No, man, I'm doing this band with Justin. That's what we want to do. I want to sing. You got a singer. It's all cool, you know." Eventually, he talked us into having a jam, and we had to play. The first song Noiseworks played together was White Room. I remember that. And it felt really good. There was definitely a sound and a chemistry, and we thought, well, we can write some songs, see what happens. So we wrote a bunch of songs. The next thing you know, we had a record deal, and we released a single, and we started filling rooms and did a tour with the Angels. Next thing you know, we're sort of tripping all over the world trying to do the same thing, and it just sort of blew out of proportion.
It's invitations I don't want again. I find anything's a game that you try. We always
go back to like when you were practicing as a kid, how many hours would you put in with your instruments and particularly your guitar?
It's interesting. I remember as a kid, you know, I was sort of a bit confused about what I liked. I guess I was searching, you know. The first concert I ever saw was Cat Stevens.
Wow.
The first album I ever bought was Machine Head. And I think the second album I bought was Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
So it was like, you know, what's going on? I think it's really funny how it adds up now, because I feel like I'm a real chameleon in music. You know, I can honestly create different genres of music that's authentic to me. But I guess, you know, I remember sitting there, you know, with a bass at that point, and I had, you know, always played guitar, and thinking, you know, do I want to be a musician, or do I just want to be an artist? And I remember making the decision, you know, lying on my bed as a kid, you know, thinking, no, I don't want to practice playing bass. I don't want to be the best bass player. I couldn't give a rat's about that. And I don't want to be fast, you know. I just want to play these chords and sing and tell you stories, you know. So I made a decision back then. So I didn't actually practice. I just wrote songs. I just played music, you know.
Okay. So when you look back at the Noiseworks journey, and I mean, you guys are still playing now every now and again, but you know, at the height there when you were traveling around, what was like the best moments of that journey?
Oh man, you know, the moment I remember most, because as you can imagine, you know, being like 21, touring the world, having hit records with a group of, you know, young lads, your mates, is pretty intensely cool, you know. The moment I remember most, I think, was turning up at a gig, and I can't remember the gig, but I remember seeing the car park chock-a-block. It was full, and there was a queue of people that went right around the building. It's like, they're here to see us.
Wow.
That was pretty mind-blowing moment. It was like, okay, this is dead set real. This is actually happening. And then from there, man, you know, there's far too many moments to sort of really recall a favourite one, you know. I think when I look back at it, you know, the things I love most about it, I still to this day, you know, having Stuart Fraser as my friend, you know, I love dearly, and Justin Stanley is my soulmate musical brother, you know. I mean, that's the gold. That's what I really got out of it. You know, the gold platinum albums, yeah, that's cool, but, you know, having had those experiences, and they're still alive today. I mean, I've just got back from LA late last year, you know, we're making some new Electric Hippies music, you know. And as I said, you know, Justin and I started before Noiseworks, so that connection's probably even deeper. And even with Stuart, you know, we speak on the phone all the time, and I just did some shows in Melbourne last year, and I got Stewie to come and play as a special guest, and you're probably aware that Stewie's not that well right now. Yeah. And man, we did a version of Touch. It's sort of a really sort of down, slow, beautiful version, and we recorded it and filmed it, and it's just so beautiful, man. What a great moment. So, you know, if Noiseworks for me came to that moment alone, it was worth it. It was unbelievable.
Reach out, reach out and touch somebody. Reach out, reach out and touch somebody.
asked you about like favourite moments and the highs, and I guess when you're on the road with a bunch of guys and things happen with record companies and there's stress and ego and all that stuff going on, I think they lead to some of your funniest stories. Like when you did Hot Chili Woman, that's an interesting one. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, that's a classic sort of, I guess there's always a bit of ego involved and a record label involved. I mean, Justin and I were always interested in production, and we were there from the beginning of the studio session. When the session was over, we'd generally pay an engineer to hang around till 4 in the morning, and we'd just record stuff, just learning, twiddling knobs and learning the craft. And after our second record, which was Touch, we'd had the wonderful experience of working with Chris Kimsey, who produced a lot of Stones records, and he was pretty big time. Chris got paid $80K, and beautiful mansion on Bondi, and great time out here, and he did a great job with the record. But really, to be honest, he just re-recorded our demos that Justin and I had previously recorded at Damien Gerard's, and it sort of dawned on us, we asked Sony if we could produce the third record, and they said, hey, they're up for it. They were going to save them having to spend $80K, and but they said if at the end of the day the record release will be our decision, and we've went into it confidently going, no problem, we'll make you a killer record. So we went into the studio, we made an album. Justin and I virtually produced it, even though it's credited Noiseworks. And we delivered it to Sony, and they said, we love it, except you're 2 hits short of a successful record. And we went, no, you reckon? So anyway, it was their call. So then they decided to send John and Stuart to America to write with the hit writers. And I remember being at that meeting with the band management and Sony and saying, hey, I remember standing up saying, this is the kiss of death. We don't need hit writers, we just need to write some more songs. And they didn't agree, and they, sent John and Stuart over to America, spent a lot of money doing the tour there, writing songs. And Justin and I was kind of stuck in our little house. We built this little, I guess it's a box, literally a box, because it was a semi-detached house, and we were recording at night, so we had to silence it. So we built this box. We had some lead carpet over it, and we'd literally do vocals in there. You imagine this little fucking man, this little cave, smoking cigarettes, doing vocals.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty, on a 4-track Porter studio.
Wow.
And we got a bit jack of it, and we went upstairs the next morning and said to the manager, to Michael Browning, our manager, he said, look, if I can write you a song that you like, you buy us a week at Damien Gerard's so we can actually, try to do the job properly. And he said, okay. He said, I want a song, a rock and roll song, fast cars, chicks. I went downstairs and I literally wrote, I kind of apologetically wrote Hot Chili Woman in about 20 minutes, went back upstairs and sang it to him, and he said, okay, deal. So then he bought us a week in, or we bought ourselves a week in Damien Gerard's studios. And that was the kiss of death right there, because that was really the beginning, not that we knew it at the time, but that was the beginning of the Electric Hippies. And what happened is John and Stuart came back from America, and it was show and tell time. They had 12 songs, and Justin and I had 6 or 7 songs. And Hot Chili Woman was the song that took the album to #1, and the song that they used was one of ours as well, so that whole American trip was wasted. So it was a sweet little victory in one way, but it was the kiss of death of the band. And, the tour after that was a sellout tour. We had a #1 album, and Justin and I were in our hotel room playing music as we do, and we're always recording, And I remember one night, we're just jamming, recording this thing. we're on ecstasy, right? And stopping after this jam just and going, oh man, wish music could be like this all the time. I've gone, it can. Let's leave the band, man. And so, we decided to sleep on it. Eventually we slept on it. And then I remember waking up that next morning, and my room was at one end of the corridor and his is at the other. And we literally, like we both first met, we both walked out of our rooms at the same time.
Wow.
And walked down the hot corridor and met each other and went, we're going to do it. I said, yeah. So that was the end of Noiseworks.
Unbelievable, man. And then we go into the Electric Hippies, and the story that you have for that song is personally my favourite. Greedy People. Can I ask you about that one?
Yeah, look, I think there's no secrets. Now, I'm not going to tell this story saying that, I don't feel, because the breakup was a little bit bitter, and that's okay. Business is like that. Sometimes, sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's not that sweet. Everyone made mistakes. I made mistakes. Some of the other guys made mistakes. But that song was, it was our final meeting with the accountants, and John walked in with Michael Browning and our lawyer, and it ended up being that I left that band with nothing. It was a big business, but Noiseworks was a big business, and we left that with nothing. I mean, how is that possible? It went for sort of 8 to 10 years, and just as human beings, we were never looked after financially. I remember standing up, in band meetings with management many times, going, look, we're making, it was even on a Monday night, we'd be making 30 grand for a show, and you'd have agent fees, crew fees, PA fees, all the hard costs, and then what was left. And I just made it seemed like a very naive suggestion, but before we take money out for everyone, why don't we just take $1,000 out each show and put it into a bank account? If we had have done that for 8 to 10 years, at least it would have been something. I'm sure we could have been a lot smarter than that as well, but we weren't. And anyway, we went back, and like most hit songs, Greedy People, it was written out of anger, and we put a voice box to it and a little happy tune to sort of cover its sort of its seething notion. But
wasn't that one written in super fast time as well?
Yeah, it was done, man. It was started and it was done within 20 minutes as well. I say 20 minutes all the time. It might have been 25.
I love how in half an hour you can create something that goes on radio that gets so catchy that it's played by every radio station in the country and even around the world. It's crazy.
Oh man, you'll hear that story from a lot of artists, around the world through history. Those songs generally come out, very quickly and easily.
You can have all the money, take the house, honey. You can even keep the shirt off my back. well, you think that you can lose, but your attitude just proves you'd even sell your mother for cash. Is that a fact? We don't want greedy people, need greedy people, hate greedy people around here. We don't like greedy people, despise greedy people, lies greedy people around here. Listen up, let all the children play. Don't go taking their ball away. You'll be the one that's kicking the dirt. And in the end, don't be surprised when you wake up and you realize you'll have no friends, at least you'll be rich. Ain't life a bitch? We don't want greedy people, need greedy people, hate greedy people around here. We don't like greedy people, despise greedy people, lies greedy people around here. Oh no, greedy people, no.
So then, you know, after that finishes up, and then the thing that where I connected with you was off the Black Rainbow. I asked you about good times. You had some pretty harrowing times too, and that album, I guess, is the reflection of that, or what came from that. If you don't mind sharing some of the stories, man, of like the journey to that album, because that's incredible.
Yeah, well, look, going back to that, and I honestly don't blame anyone for my behaviours and my personality. But hard drugs, heroin had actually been introduced at an early stage, and even though I stopped during that Noiseworks period, I still smoked and drank a lot and excessively. And I guess sort of after Noiseworks broke up and we started the Electric Hippies, we produced a bunch of records, and then we did the Hippies album and made that clean. And then I had an old mate of mine who just thought, let's just have a tickle, I had a shot and just started it all again, and it was uncontrollable. It became, the next decade became harrowing, from having everything, from having an apartment at Potts Point, to a band that was primed to really break Europe. Electric Hippies were Warner Brothers Europe, in Germany in particular. We were the Golden Boys. We were starting to play on big major festivals, but it just got me, and in every town I found myself in, having to find drugs, and it just became horrible for everyone, and especially my dear friend Justin, who, had, saved me from an OD one night in Germany. He pulled me aside one time when we got back to Australia after that particular tour and said, "Brother, I love you so much, but I can't watch you kill yourself. You need to get clean, and then we can continue." And I just went, "Yeah, cool, no worries." And I'd never been to a detox at that point, so I checked myself into a detox, did a week, got out, used. I just couldn't stop. The Hippies broke up, I just couldn't stop. There was about, another 5-6 years after that. I just used, and it got worse and worse and worse. The apartment went, everything went,
Do you know at the time, like, things are scary and you're on a big downward slide, or is the power of the drug so strong that you just don't care?
It's very cunning, and the denial is unbelievable, I got to the point where, I remember the last gig I played before I went to rehab was with a band called Universe I had. Once again, even through that madness of addiction, I got a record deal with Festival. So it sort of facilitated my using. I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to be the next cool junkie and rock star,
Right.
you know, inevitably it fell apart, and I found myself in rehab. The first rehab I did so many detoxes, I can't even remember how many, but I remember finally fessing up and you know, I had a big, massive tax bill, and I remember showing my accountant, he's scratching his head going, Steve, for 2 years, there was like 4 to 5 $50 withdrawals a day.
Oh my God.
What is that? And honestly, for that, while I still had money, every shot was going to be my last. Bang. One more. Fucking years, one more. And then I lost, then I ran out of money. Then all my stuff started to go. Yeah, then I pretty much hocked everything I'd owned. I remember my last gig, with Universe, before I went to rehab, I had no instruments. It's a sold-out basement. I had no instruments, and I had to, solo, you know, I had to call an old friend, not a friend, someone I knew from school that I knew did really well, and I begged him for money. He gave me the money. He said, never call me again. I got my gear out. I did the show. Bloody good show. And went to rehab not too long after that. And, you know, the only reason I'm here now and the only reason I tell this story so outwardly is because I'm really proud of the victory. I didn't do it alone. I did it via you know, a 12-step program that I won't mention, but there is a way out for people like me. 100% there's a way out because it got so bad. It's a fact. I'm living proof. So that's why I tell that story. And, you know, I guess getting back to your question about Black Rainbow, you know, my analogy for that is that even at the end of the Black Rainbow, there's a pot of gold, and that sort of collection of songs was an album of acceptance and forgiveness to myself, and you know, clearing of the decks, really.
Mate, it's one of the great albums. It's like a soundtrack. It's just, songs are amazing on it. A song like I Found You that you played on TV, like you must be pretty proud looking back at that collection of songs.
I am, man. You know, they're very important to other people, and that's why I'm proud of them. You know, I'm just, you know, I realised in that period, you know, I'd played music early in my career, you know, I guess to be loved and to be liked, and to, you know, that's who I am, you know. But I realised through that whole journey and the turmoil and destruction, self-destruction, that music is just a gift, and it's my duty to give the gift, not to receive, but to give it. And that's how I operate now. So, you know, those songs were just sort of part of me. They're part of my gift. I made them. I gave them to people. People now it's there. Now they're their songs, and I just keep making new ones. But yeah, so I'm proud to have been able to channel them, I guess.
I'm gonna
Epic album. Everyone should download that one. And yeah, it's epic. Is that a plane flying over you, by the way?
Yeah. No control over that, my friend.
No, mate.
I asked my wife to be quiet, but I can't stop that.
Can't stop the planes. Get the air traffic control. How did MySex come about?
Yeah, that was interesting. You know, Steve Gilpin died, you know, over 20 years ago, and MySex always kind of would have loved to have kept going, but they sort of, you know, just didn't feel right. And I was doing a show at the Opera House called Ziggy, and I had this character. He's kind of like a sophisticated punk. He's my interpretation of the Diamond Dogs guy. He's really cheeky, struts around, you know, man about town, want to kiss you, maybe kill you, yeah, not quite sure. And they saw me doing the show, and then they thought, you know, this guy's strange enough. Perhaps we should ask him to be in the band. And when they asked me, I wasn't thinking about the Diamond Dogs guy. I was just sort of thinking, oh, I don't know, me and MySex. And I said to them right there and then, I said, it's a real honour to be asked, but I couldn't do it unless I can feel I can honestly contribute to the band. I remember having a rehearsal and I could sort of sing the stuff, but I felt awkward. Right. And then we were going to just play at a party. It was a farewell for a friend of the bass player, Don Martin. And I just had an idea of dressing up as the Diamond Dogs guy. And that character went on stage, and it wasn't me. It's the guy. It's that unpredictable, sophisticated punk that could deliver the songs with bravado and you know, a cheekiness that I couldn't do myself. And it just worked beautifully. It was a masterstroke, I must say. And that show, man, I tell you, if you haven't seen MySex, you've got to see MySex. It's so much fun. I love the people. I really respect the music because I think they were way ahead of their time, you know, to be playing, you know, sequences, to have created a hit song with a sequencer. I dare, if you look around the history of world rock music, I think it was probably one of the first songs, 1979, with a sequencer. It's pretty phenomenal.
Dots and crying anxious tear. As yet you one connects the spot, but the matrix grid don't care. Get a message to my mother. What number will she be? There's a million angry citizens looking down at you. That make from pew 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 pew
You've had such a varied journey and crazy stories, but how did the Jessica Irwin thing come about? Because that's amazing seeing the footage of that.
Yeah, well, you know, she's a fan of mine. She's been coming to shows for ages, just for your fans. You know, Jessica had cerebral palsy, pretty serious case of it. She has full control of her incredibly intelligent, witty, irreverent mind and her eyes, and that's about it. The rest of her body is sort of subject to, you know, crazy, outlandish spasms, and so she, you know, she's had a pretty tough life. She's been a fan of mine. She came to gigs, and as many gigs as mine as she could, and I'm not sure how she got involved with Dr. Jordan Newen. He's another one that's worth looking up. He has a group of developers called Psychonetic, and their aim is to create instruments and technology for people with disabilities. That's their aim in life. It's wonderful. They're incredible people. Somehow they got in touch, Jessica and Dr. Jordan, and just invited Dr. Jordan, the good doctor I call him, to one of my shows, and Jordan could see in her eyes that she wanted to just be up there. You know, and he asked her the question. He said, "You'd love to do that, wouldn't you?" And she said, "You know, yes." She types, and at the time it was very slow. Since then, Dr. Jordan has created an incredible typing machine that is like 3 times faster. But so he set himself a task to create an instrument that she could play via eye recognition.
Wow.
So what she does, in fact, is it's like a sampler. Like I go to the studio and I can go, okay, I want to play piano. I've got my MIDI keyboard. I want to play drum pattern, strings, whatever, weird sounds. Now she can do that, but with her eyes. So, you know, it's at the beginning, but if you think about that, you know, imagine having a disability like that and having music inside you and never being able to express it. You know, you can. You know, that loosely used term, it's a game changer. Well, this actually is, you know. Doesn't stop there. You know, Jordan's created Psychonetica created this hub. It's kind of like iTunes for people using this technology, so they can all meet there. They can play games there. They can create games there. You think about it, if you can control anything with your eyes, Dr. Jordan has now created a wheelchair that you can drive with your eyes.
Wow.
And you think if you can drive a wheelchair, well, you can drive a car.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's massive. It's unbelievable.
Just like a game, at times we fall into the arms of defeat. Sometimes we carry on, and we've got everything to lose, and so we fight the good fight, the good fight. Everyone's a winner sometime. Everybody loses sometime. If you try and then it's alright. I'm gonna love you win or lose. The Phoenix star is tattooed on our hearts. We've beaten the pain, don't have to run. Yes, it's time to start. And we've got everything to give, and so we win the good fight.
It's a beautiful thing, man. So, you know, with the talent you have to be able to just pick up an instrument and create, you know, harmonies and write songs, what does it feel like for you being up on stage playing a song like Butterfly in My Dreams? Because that's one of my favourites.
Well, I feel really lucky, man. I mean, you know, like I've never had a music lesson, and there's lots of people like me around, but you know, music's just very instinctual. So I love the fact that I can deliver music for people and connect with them. You know, it's extraordinary stuff. I mean, you know, I've got my 7-year-old son who just last night, I mean, he's more naturally musically talented than I ever was. And, yeah, we were just jamming last night. I was playing a bit of a song on piano, and he just came up and started playing at the top end and perfectly in tune in the right places and started sort of singing along with me in harmony. And so I was looking at him going, how do you do that? I thought, well, I do it too. I don't know, it's just a weird thing. But it is a blessing, I must say that.
there's another song I want to ask you about, which is Amazing.
Mm.
So can you just tell us the story behind that one?
Well, that was another dark time story, but I think I was 3 days trying to stop again.
Wow.
And my sister-in-law, I was back at my mum's, the girl was 36-year-old, had everything, had nothing, trying to get off heroin. And I was 3 days into it. Luckily, a test match was on. I always try to dry out when a test match is on because I love cricket. And it's a long game and I can sort of at least focus on it. And I was sitting there 3 days and my sister-in-law came to the house and said, "Hi Steve, is your mum here?" And I said, No, she's gone. There's $50 for her. I'll just put it under the phone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I am sitting there, yeah. I'm trying to resist taking the money. And of course, cricket's on, so the ad comes out, and it's sponsored by McDonald's, and the ad goes, "It's smack time, it's smack time, it's smack time now." That was it. That was it. I sort of had to, got the money. I went and scored and came back home and wrote a song. It's very, the first lyric of that song is, "This train is going nowhere," and the last lyric is, "But the best is yet to come." And here we are.
So get yourself together, child. Head the next stop. Cause Mother Nature's bleeding from her open arms. Never be like yesterday. No, no, no. So don't be scared to make a change. She said that there's a better way. It's amazing. Yes, it is amazing. Leaving what you're thinking, amazing. Don't give up, remember what you got, amazing now. The best is yet to come. Don't give up, no, no, no.
Well, what's happening at the moment for you, man? Because it's like I know you had Modern Love as a single out recently, and what's been happening in your world?
Yeah, well, we're doing a psychonetic mix of that with Jessica Irwin. I'm doing a new mix of that, and we're actually performing at the Sydney Town Hall tonight. Also, I've just finished producing Spectre Tapes, Firebird. I've been writing songs, and it looks like I may produce Shannon Knoll. I'm putting out a song with James Van Cooper, finishing the Electric Hippies, making a legendary Dust Buckles feature documentary that will be broken up in 6 parts. That's a whole other story. It's basically, a bunch of what I would call legends of the music industry going to amazing places in the country with very limited musical instruments and creating a record.
Wow.
It's going to be pretty special. So yeah, man, I probably left something out, but when I recite my life like that, as well as having 4 kids, I'm not sure how it's all happening.
I love it. Mate, what advice
Freaking me out, man.
I'm sorry. I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know it's pretty harrowing and it's like personal to talk about, so I really do appreciate it. But what advice would you give to either maybe even a young self of you or a young person starting out in the business who has a talent or has a drive? Looking back with everything you know, what would you say to them now?
There's no way around it. It's hard work, and you need to be authentic. You need to be authentic to your musical heart and soul. And there's no fallback position. If you just got to go for it.
Nice, man.
A lot of parents would hate me saying that, but you know, that's what I did. I was growing up with a bunch of musos. We all played music together. There's about 6, 7 of us, and I was no more talented than any of them. But I worked and I kept playing. They all got jobs, and I looked in the paper for music gigs. I think that's probably maybe the difference. And I'm sure they're all quite happy people as well. But I lived an extraordinary life. You know, even with the treachery, you know, it's such a blessing to go to the studio and make music every day and be paid for it and be able to, you know, I'm pretty lucky. I'm not a superstar or anything. I really couldn't give a rat's ass about that. I can be whoever I want, make music however I want. I don't need to rely on anybody. It can just, you know, it's a blessing, man. Great life.
Mate, so good to talk with you and catch up again. Your story is incredible. Your talent is just off the charts, and can't wait to see all the new music you're going to be doing. And thanks for being on the show, mate.
Mate, it's always been, you know, we've had a couple of conversations over the years, and I've always connected with you. Thanks for having me, mate, and I hope to see you in person sooner. My phone's running very low on charge, so if I just disappear.
It will be the perfect ending.
All right, cool,
mate.
Man.
So there you go. Super fun to have him on the show. Epic stories, and really, I mean, sound like Molly Meldrum saying do yourself a favour, but you should jump on his website and download The Black Rainbow. It is an incredible album. He's an incredible talent. So much fun to have him on the show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.